Target Shooting, a cross-gendered leisure hobby project presented by Elizabeth Rocha. What's the point? Target shooting, a non-traditional sport for women. By learning how to shoot, I am challenging my self-imposed limitations. Limitations are only in the mind, so why exactly do women target shoot? Women target shoot to gain a sense of self-empowerment and self-control. Women also target shoot in order to gain a better sense of focus and to do better. Target shooting is a precision sport. It allows individuals to track their progress, therefore allowing women to feel good about how they are doing. Target shooting is also used to learn self-defense. The misconceptions about women and target shooting. There are many myths and stereotypes that follow the concept of women and target shooting. Many individuals believe that women do not have the self-capability to shoot as good as men. Many individuals believe that women cannot handle a larger caliber, and many believe that shooting is only for self-defense. All of which I've stated are misconceptions in terms of target shooting. Females are just as capable as any man to shoot firearms, and the caliber of a gun does not determine who is allowed to shoot them. Facts about women and target shooting. Here are just a few facts about women and target shooting that were of interest to me. According to the National Sporting Goods Association, target shooting is the most popular shooting sport among women. Female target shooters generally have higher education levels than male target shooters. Target shooting is characterized by the type of firearm, target, and distances at which targets get shot at. More women participate in target shooting than any other shooting sports, including hunting. The most popular shooting sport for women is target shooting with a rifle, followed by target shooting with a pistol. If archery were considered a target shooting sport, women's participation in target shooting would be even higher. The shooting sports with the fewest number of women participants are trap, skeet shooting, bow hunting, and sporting clays. Target shooting and women. In the article titled Both Gains and Gaps, the idea of socially appropriate leisure for women is evident in the activities that are still offered by recreation service providers and the activities that parents are typically enrolling their children in. Relating my target shooting experience to the topic of women and leisure, I would have to admit that this experience was definitely non-traditional for my gender. Being a female, society associates women with roles that fall into social norms for women. Women in society are expected to maintain families as well as participate in family activities for leisure. Times have changed, and over the last 20 to 30 years, society has been able to see a dramatic increase in this. Only a small number of families fall into the traditional pattern of family households, thus expanding leisure to many great lengths. Now for some historical context on women's leisure. Changes brought about the women's movement. The quest for gender equality and the rights of women were the focus of many women during the 19th century. This social movement was of the largest in the world that focused on extending women's rights to include the right to leisure experiences. If it were not for the women's movement, I would have never had the opportunity to try target shooting. Now taking a look at Title IX, one of the most significant legislative advances for women in the United States was the passage of Title IX of the Educational Amendments of 1972. This legislation required schools to provide equal opportunity for both sexes to participate in interscholastic, intercollegiate, as well as athletic programs. Now taking a look at leisure constraints for women, because of the Victorian era, women were perceived as physically weak and incapable of engaging in vigorous activity. Taking a look at women in society now, we've come a long way. Now for the active participation portion of this project. In order to learn how to target shoot, handgun safety and proper gun stance were two of the fundamental components in properly learning how to target shoot. Please take the next few minutes in order to view the lessons that were especially compiled in teaching me how to target shoot. A 5-week journey and a look at my progress. Through the next 5 slides, viewers will embark on a journey as I learn how to target shoot and I get closer towards my goal of being able to accurately hit my targets. Week 1. In this photo, I shot a handgun for the first time throughout this entire experience. As you can see, my aim was nowhere near my target, therefore resulting in an unsuccessful attempt. Week 2. As I have become a little more comfortable shooting targets, week 2 allowed me to shoot my targets a little more accurately, but still left me with a large spread. I also did not hit many of my targets, as you can see. Week 3. Week 3 proved to demonstrate definite progress as my spread was this time in the same area and closer to my targets. Week 4. Week 4 was the biggest improvement that I have seen throughout this entire experience so far. Target shooting felt very second nature to me, and I had no issues out on the range. My targets were also accurately shot, with the exception of a few bullets. Week 4 proved to be a good week. Week 5, a pistol packing princess and a hobby well learned. Week 5 includes a video of my last week target shooting. From loading my firearm to hitting all of my targets, the video attached is of me target shooting and what I consider to be my best experience throughout this entire journey. Reflection and personal learning, my thoughts. My experience and how I felt overall target shooting was one of the most empowering experiences that I have ever felt. Target shooting gave me a sense of pride and individual accomplishment. Now that I've gotten older, finding hobbies that interest me have been a bit more of a challenge. Growing up, I lived in a household much like the one featured in the film Whip It. My mother always encouraged us to participate in hobbies that were traditionally seen in terms of our gender. From makeup to ballet, all leisure activities we were a part of growing up were for women. Now, for this assignment, I was forced to step out of my comfort zone and try something I had never considered before. At first, I was scared and afraid of simply getting hurt. Never did I once think that I might actually be good at target shooting. Lesson after lesson, I started getting better and realized that male sports aren't just for males anymore. As for insights that were gained from this experience, I learned that practice makes perfect regardless of gender or sport. I learned that mistakes are learning experiences, but with self-confidence and determination, anything can be mastered. For this experience, I was challenged in more ways than not. From having little to no gun knowledge, to being expected to learn the proper gun etiquette, all aspects of this project were a challenge. One of the biggest challenges that I faced was not letting the fact that I was a female shooter as well as a beginner get in the way of my confidence. I was truly worried about what others thought about me, not to mention how they would react to my shooting capabilities. As for continuous participation throughout this sport, that would be a definite yes. Currently, I am rereading the Handgun Safety Certificate booklet so that I may get certified myself and potentially purchase my own handgun throughout the future. My perspective. Did this experience change me in any way? How? As far as target shooting goes, this experience has changed me for the better. Before I started this project, trying new things wasn't much of my style. Target shooting has allowed me to break free of old habits and try new things without much hesitation. As for an appreciation that I gained from this experience, I learned that target shooting is a lot harder than it looks. I have a complete new respect for women who target shoot, not to mention those who target shoot well. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Target shooting offers many benefits. Besides the obvious benefit of empowerment, I feel that target shooting also benefits health in many more ways than not. Target shooting is a great way to increase hand-eye coordination and is a great way to release stress. Now, taking a look at my culture and the environment that I was raised in, target shooting was definitely not on my list of activities to participate in. At first, I was afraid of how my mother would react to me target shooting, but then I quickly put all stereotypes and misconceptions aside that I had about target shooting and decided to have a good time trying something for the first time. Target shooting versus class materials. How does my experience with target shooting relate to class materials covered? My experience target shooting relates to the class materials covered because sports were one of the most visible examples of how the contemporary women's movement directly related to women's leisure. If it were not for feminism or the women's movement, participating in such a sport would be non-existent. I had not participated in this activity before because I felt constraints in regards to not being strong enough to actually handle a gun. I also felt that I was not nearly as knowledgeable as some of the men out on the target shooting range. Little did I know, I was actually more advanced than some of the individuals out there. And there you have it. You have now reached the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed my empowering journey through a new hobby that I was able to learn,